Guess what? I've got some great news for you. I have got a magic bullet for you that's going to take away all your doubt, all your fear, and make you feel exceptionally confident. Actually, I've also got a magic pill as well. Well, if you believe that, guys, you're full of bullshit, and I'm full of bullshit. You don't just wake up one day and go, oh, wow, I feel so confident. Confidence is something that you've actually got to build. Like, you don't walk in and go, I want to be a really confident public speaker, and you're just going to walk out there and be confident. You got to build on that. You got to practice. You got to train yourself to public speak. It takes, they actually run courses on public speaking. You don't just wake up one day and I'm such a confident public speaker. I think it's so important to understand that confidence is just not a feeling that you have. It's actually something that you've got to build and something that you've got to take a lot of actions in order to get confident. It's actually a situational thing. Like, I'm not going to be a confident cooker. There's no such thing, confident in the kitchen, unless I take the actions and the steps to learn how to cook. I'm not going to be a confident tennis player. So this is what I'm saying. You don't just wake up one day and go, oh, I'm a confident person. It's all situational. Am I a confident parent? Yes, because I built up those little actions and those little steps to make me feel like a confident parent. My gosh, this fly keeps whizzing past. I hope you don't keep seeing that. So what I think is really important to understand that it's not a feeling of confidence. It's something that you build in every different situation in your life. If you want to be a really confident ballerina, you've obviously got to practice and take the actions and the steps in order to become that. So I think as long as you realize that confidence isn't something that bang is a magic potion or something that you're born with, it's something that you've actually got to work towards. So all this headspace at the moment and all this comparison to other people, I'm not as confident as Chrissy down the road. She walks in front of a camera with Real Housewives and she absolutely rocks it. Okay, now I'm talking myself up, but that hasn't become because I've woken up one day and that I'm confident in front of the camera. That's become from years and years and years of me being in front of the camera. Every situation is building on the last. So I think it's really important right now that I give you 5 seconds to, one, get out of your headspace, 5 seconds to stop the head noise that's going on, and 5 seconds to take action to become more confident. All right, everyone, listen up. You think life's a smooth ride? Think again. From hot takes to vodka breaks, I'm here to serve it straight. No chaser, just a twist of lime. It's time to get real. Pour yourself a skinny bitch and get ready for a vodka lecture. From me, Chrissy Marsh, unfiltered, unapologetic, and straight to the point. Get ready for your weekly shot of reality. I get asked a question all the time, why are you so confident? How do you walk into a room so confidently? How do you speak to people from all different walks of life with such confidence? And, confidence is such a strange terminology. It really, to me, it basically is how you feel within yourself. So it is a very personal thing. And I think it's a very much a building block. People turn and say, oh, you're so confident in the kitchen. Do you think the first time I went in to boil an egg, I was confident? And this is why I always say to people, get your kids in the kitchen early. It builds a confidence from a very young age. It's that repetitive behavior. They cook an egg, then they make a fruit salad, then they go on to make a tea cake, then they might make cupcakes. Next thing you know, they're making 6-course dinners. That doesn't happen. That confidence in the kitchen doesn't happen instantly. So, if you're sitting there at 17 and looking at me, in my mid 50s saying, oh, wow, you're so confident. Well, that obviously came over time. It's a building block. It's an essence within your life. And look, obviously, when I was 21, a lot of the time, yes, I was faking it till I make it. Obviously, the more times you go into a crowd of people that you don't know and the more conversations you have to strike up and the more, effort you have to make, then that's going to make you more confident in that situation. And I think it comes down to, with work, people look at their boss and go, oh my gosh, that boss is so confident in that meeting. That boss has probably had 2,000 meetings like that, 200 meetings like that. This is your first meeting, so you can't expect to be as confident. But I think it's really important, obviously, to learn and take bits from people around you that you look and admire and think, oh, they're confident in that situation. Even sit down and ask them. You walk into that meeting and you are so confident, how did you become that way? They might say, well, when I was a salesperson, then I became an associate, then I became a director. So all of these things are stepping stones. So whether it's walking out onto a tennis court and being an exceptionally confident tennis player, it's because you've done the steps to get there. And I think that was why when I started Vodka Lectures, I made goal setting such an important essence to our lives, because that's what makes you confident, is when you are very clear and you know the steps on where you want to get to is what's going to make you confident about getting there. Clarity is a really important thing in order to gain your confidence. So if you are feeling, social anxiety, that's when you've got to push yourself out of your comfort zone and have the clarity to know, I want to go to this party. I want to feel good about myself. I want to walk in confidently. What does that mean? Walking in and being able to say hi to 5 people. So that might be a goal that you go back and set. You go back to your goals and say, I'm going to force myself to have, 2 interactions this week that you might normally feel confident and comfortable in. By pushing yourself, it's going to make you then feel more comfortable the next time you do it. Feeling comfortable is about feeling uncomfortable. And you start off feeling uncomfortable in a situation, you do it enough times, you're going to feel comfortable. I remember, when I first started off in property, I'd never done an auction before. I'd never done an auction campaign. And I went for my first appraisal, where you go and meet someone and I'm thinking, what if they ask me? What if they ask me if I've never ever done an auction before? I've never done an auction before. What if they ask me? And this is where they say, most worries never happen. I met with this beautiful couple. It was a property down in Botany and Cleverton Street. Well, they never asked me, have you done this before? So, you meet a boyfriend for the first time and you have that first kiss and they're going to ask you, have you done this before? And it was the same thing with that. My first auction campaign, I ended up getting it. Was I confident going in there? No. Next time I went in for the auction campaign, I was a little bit more confident because I'd already done one auction before. By the time you've done 15 auctions, you're in the auction room feeling exceptionally confident. So what I want to explain to you is you cannot feel confident in any new situation immediately without having some background, without having some previous knowledge or experience. So don't beat up on yourself if you're not walking into the room as the most confident guy, if you're not walking into the job interview as the most confident. I've got a gorgeous girl that I'm mentoring at the moment. She's had about 12 interviews. And every time she'd go for an interview, she'd come back and say, I really stuffed up on this one. I really didn't do well on this one. But she actually knew and clarified where she went wrong. So it was this building block of all of a sudden she goes into a property, not a property interview, an interview, and says to me, oh my gosh, Krissy, I've done so many interviews now. I just went in and absolutely nailed it. Like, she's going into interviews now as the most confident person, probably the most confident candidate these people have ever seen. Why? Because she's built on those not insecurities. It's just not having that knowledge base of exactly what to do. And that's what repetitive tasks, repetitively doing something will give you the confidence. You look at a piano player, they start off, all of a sudden they're like banging a song out after practicing and getting the confidence to know that they can do it. Putting your hand up in class. First time you put your hand up, you're like this. You've done it 10 times. You've answered 10 questions already. All of a sudden you're jutting your hand up. This dress doesn't allow that. So this is what I'm talking about. Don't expect to be the most confident person in any aspect of your life, but have a goal. Have a goal to say, I want to walk into that room. I want to go into that interview being confident. Do have that goal, but realize it does take steps to get there. You might have to fake it to actually are that most confident person. But that's super, super important that you do that. I love the fact that, every career that I've done, and it's been a 360, all different careers. You start off in that career, you're not quite confident, you build on it, you get the knowledge within that job description, you go to enough meetings, you have enough successes. And I think that's a really big thing, is acknowledging your little successes along the way, because that gains confidence. And I think by acknowledging, I went to that meeting and I didn't feel nervous, that's a success. Give yourself that little bit of extra confidence. So don't expect to be the be all and end all in every situation, but work out what's important to you. If you want to be confident in your job, you want to be confident in your relationship, well, then look at ways that you can build that confidence within yourself. And that is a stepping stone approach. You're not going to get every result overnight. There's going to be some things that make you feel exceptionally uncomfortable. But by feeling uncomfortable in a situation, that's when we learn. That's when we push boundaries. And the classic example for me was when I was modeling. And I started very, very young, but then I moved into adult parades at sort of 14 years of age. I was up against some of the top European models in the world that they used to fly out here for the imports parades for both David Jones and Myers. And I wouldn't walk out there feeling confident. I'd walk out there, I'd have butterflies. So anxiety, when I was younger, used to be called, butterflies. It's that boost of adrenaline that's going to make you perform, going to make you go out on the catwalk and give it your best. It's, my son, every time he went out to play rugby, he used to be sick to his stomach. He couldn't even eat before a rugby game. But that's what gave him the confidence and the extra adrenaline to go out there and really achieve it. So don't be afraid to feel uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to feel anxious. It's just a feeling. It will pass. It will pass as you gain confidence. So confidence isn't something that you're born with. It's like cooking. It's a skill. You'll gain it over your lifetime. You'll get more confident in things. But stop thinking, over analyzing, I'm not the most confident person, because it will come. As long as you believe it, as long as you know the areas that you want to become confident in, then you can build on those skills. A lot of people talk about anxiety, and a lot of time I think anxiety is fear. It's overthinking a situation. It's over analyzing a situation. However, if you feel unconfident in a situation and you take action and you overcome that fear that you're feeling, then that's what will build your confidence. And that's whether you're a child, whether you're, I'm speaking with my 82-year-old mother at the moment, doesn't want to try out a physio. She's scared of trying out a physio. But it's by taking the action of going to see the physio that she'll overcome that fear and then become more confident. So I think the biggest thing in building confidence is taking action and overcoming fear and pushing through that pain barrier or fear barrier. And that's going to make you a more confident person. So what I want you to go away with today is the feeling of being uncomfortable, the feeling of not being confident is not bad, because you will build on that feeling and you will eventually become confident. And you know what? When you become so confident in a certain job, that pushes you to go on and, get the next job. So being overly confident isn't always the best thing either, because sometimes feeling uncomfortable and not so confident pushes you to the next level. So go out there, work out what you want in life, fake it till you make it, do what you've got to do, because you know what you've got to do. Now, make sure, if you know someone out there that hasn't had a great job interview, that isn't feeling that confident in life in the moment, pass this podcast on to them. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you rate me, and make sure you send in your questions, because I can't wait to give you your own personal vodka lecture.